Slasher. Slasher's a killer that I'm only going to talk about because I feel like it would be a little bit weird to start on Cool Kid and just never talk about the actual starting killer. Slasher is a 2-star difficulty who has 28 run speed and 9 walk speed, being tied for the fastest at both of those quantities. He contains a playstyle which is a mix of both stealth and rushdown. He tries to use stealth so it chases closer to you, and then he will target you until you die. The stealth aspect is exemplified by his low 45 stud tear radius, which is, in all honesty, not that low. It's just 3/4 of the average tear radius, so not much of a big change, but something when you pair it up with stutter stepping to mask your footsteps. Past that basic introduction of Slasher, it's time to talk about his viability, which is pretty bad. He's not that viable. He only really works at destroying bad players and bad teams, which makes him a really good pub stomper, but he just sucks against good players. I'll be going over some problematic survivor matchups that he has, and just overall why I don't think he's that good, alongside things that might hopefully fix him and would hopefully not make him too insane of a pub stomper if these got added. First of all, why is he so bad? Well, he can't attack without being near someone due to his lack of projectile or a large melee attack hitbox. But he kind of sucks at getting near people as long as they have some teamwork or a really large loop. Specialty is consistently catching up when you don't have either of those things, or if he can just zone you and then instantly kill you because your teammates suck at the game. Now, getting into his abilities, which he has 4 of, counting his M1, I'm going to start on his Slash. I don't think anything needs to change on it. It's just 20 damage with 8 damage over time damage with bleed. It pierces, it's second fastest M1, and if you hit somebody who's already bleeding, they will get bleed too. The only thing really interesting about bleed is that it can't damage survivors once they get to 10 HP, unlike most other effects, which just stop damaging them once they get to 1 health. Behead is where I think there's a bit of a problem, and it has to do with rating based Behead. It just doesn't have enough range. It could use some more range and maybe a little less on lag to just make it a more reliable thing to utilize in Raging Pace, because it currently doesn't feel like you're using it as, it feels like you're sort of just using it as easier to land Gassing Wound that only does 35 damage and applies Helpless to his Behead. They're using it more like Gassing Wound. The only real benefit outside of 2 extra damage is the Helpless when comparing it to his M1, which in all honesty is fine, just alright. The Helpless doesn't do an insane amount normally, but it can be helpful. Then, Gassing Wound. I just have one problem with. If Gassing Wound is the first thing that you land when chasing somebody, if you M1 them again, they'll have 78 damage taken. The next M1, assuming that they are playing a character of 100 max health, they'll now have taken 98 total damage and then you need another hit. 4 hits total, counting the Gassing Wound as a hit. It does 4 hits if you just M1 4 times. If it did 60 damage, then it would only be 3 more hits, but I just feel like it would be better, you know? I think I should actually get rewarded for landing my Punish ability
before landing my M1s. If I get a good chaser for my Punish ability,
you still get a chase reset, right? If it's the start of a chase reset isn't helping that much. Okay. Now, Raging Pace, which I have an issue. They nerfed walk speed in Raging Pace from 19.5 to 19, which I really don't see the point of. I don't know when this happened, but it did happen, so I don't like it. Because on a rushdown character with 0 options to attack from a distance, every start of distance matters a lot. So I think that should be changed back. The other issue with Raging Pace that I have goes back to Gassing Wound. It does 70 damage with Raging Pace Gassing Wound, which means that you need 2 more M1s. If you weren't paying attention to the previous section, I think the Raging Pace Gatchman needs to deal 80 damage. Honestly, I do think that Raging Pace M1 is fair. It does like 30 free damage, I think, and sure, that doesn't really make it that much better from a regular M1 by more damage. Wow. But what it does do better is that I still think you should buff this, because unlike every other ability, say you just use Raging Pace Gatchman on a Ram Sandbagger. Now, you're using Gatchman on your target, which is Shabetsky, who just missed their stun. What are you going to do? You need to Gatchman them. But you already Raging Pace Gatchman the previous guy. Use Behead, use M1. Can't use Gatchman you. Which is fair. You put yourself in that situation by using Raging Pace Gatchman. That situation doesn't exist if you use a high damage Raging Pace M1. It just doesn't. So, it gets put on a 0.8 second cooldown, which is practically nothing. Now, he has some problematic matchups. Mainly, this idiot. Veronica is an interesting character because you can't really buff Slasher against her without giving him like something that goes through walls or a projectile. So my idea was simple. Veronica. If you destroy a Vandalism with an M1, you get a short speed boost. Maybe like speed 1 or 2 for just a single second. Help you catch up afterward. The Sentinels are on this way, mainly because you can get hit by things after Raging Pace during the end lag. Now I don't think there should be no end lag, which I'll talk about in a bit, but I just think there should be iframes after Raging Pace. Another buff idea that I had was maybe making it where you would get strength if you get hit by something very quickly after entering Raging Pace. Essentially, get rewarded more for doing a Raging Pace parry. Maybe like 1 or 2 levels of strength could be fair. Just get it for a little bit, or it also goes away after Raging Pace ends, so that you just get a 1-hit extra punish.
No, he has a severe continuous lapses, doesn't he, whenever he's getting looped, and then he contemplates about switching over to Jonto so he can actually cut out looping. Which is a problem. There is a... the thumbnail is literally saying that he exists, and that's a problem, so...
New passive! That makes it where when Slasher is 60 studs away from a survivor, he'd get a 1% speed boost for every 2 studs he is away, 85 studs away, would then become a 10.25 speed boost, or around 31 speed. So just imagine, you're far away from Slasher. 85 studs away means that you aren't even stamina, and now you have a 20.25% speed boost because of the 10% speed boost already built into the game. This part's kind of confusing. I sort of meant to say, imagine you're far away from the survivor, not you're far away from Slasher. Anyway. The idea of this is just to let Slasher actually close the gap where he can use Raging Pace to help him the rest of the way. Essentially, get towards the mid-range, so that Raging Pace can close the mid-range, and then kill the survivor off. Also, one more quick thing is teamwork problem. I had 2 ideas. Guess 666's Health Forge Will passive is right there. And I decided that's too lazy for me. So I had another idea. The passive that makes it where for every survivor in a 45 stud radius, Slasher's cooldowns start going down 12.5% faster. So if you do the math, 12.5% times 8 survivors would turn a 20-second cooldown into a 0-second cooldown. This might be a little bit unbalanced, but good thing you're never gonna have 8 survivors in a round, 8 survivors near the killer, and you can also just play around it by having people stand back or using a character. The idea behind this one is just to make it where people just can't swarm him and use all their things, all their stuns, slowdowns, their team heals. Elliot. Now, for my opinion, he's a rework for Slasher. I really just... They're fine, don't worry. That's my colleague was going to say, so... I guess I'm just going to read the script where they left off. I have a feeling of very strong negativity towards it. Slasher having no end lag after Raging Pace M1 is a little bit unfair and very annoying. And I don't think Behead should be frontline. is so easy to learn with the extra distance. And Gashing Wound is so fast that you can just parry stuns with it. You could just react to a stun by pressing Gashing Wound and boom, you take 50 damage. Also, they would just take 50 damage if I was eating their assassin for half a second. You want to do that method where you stand still, tank a hit to regain extra stamina? What sense elemental walk? You get the point. You can do that. 50 damage. Also, taking 70 damage in the case. I don't think it was intended for survivors to just be able to run away during the animation. That was very funny when I saw it. I wish I recorded the bubble testing build. What did I got from Big Old Blocks? I really hope we never have to see this slasher again. Okay, you're fine. Just get up and finish the video. Slasher's biggest issue overall is how fragile his balance is. He needs some buffs, but if he gets buffed too hard, then he'll be an even bigger problem than Guess 666, which they're a problem. My change ideas are pretty bad, but giving characters weird percent-based passives isn't exactly normal, and that's why they're so. But then remember that. And now he has a 20.25% speed boost because of the 10% speed boost already built into the game for a while to just make them better teamwork. It didn't make my ideas any better at all, but just fun to point out. So, by all 4 people watching this, hopefully you'll come back to the Cool Kid video or any other video I make ever. And this was kind of short, but I really don't care. For other videos, I'm probably going to talk about how to actually play as the killer, but that requires actually caring about them, and if that's just one of the 2 characters, we're just doing what's good. Because, like, genuinely, let's just say, I'll have some fun covering that killer. That way.